Okay, I'm back in Maya here, and I don't know about you guys, but you're getting to see how tedious it can be modeling an object, a simple object like this. However, once you learn these things, it's a lot quicker and easier, but still, it's fairly tedious. Today, I'd really like to get through this, so let's pump through. Let's fix some things that needs to be fixed. Let's go ahead and finish the metal and the bottom part, and let's move on to our character, because that's where things get really exciting. But real quick, this has been bothering me right here. Easy way to fix it is we select all these polygons in the front here, and we just put a planar projection there. And those of you who've been paying attention know that we go up to UV, planar. We're going to need to use an X projection, so apply there, and we'll scale that up quite a bit, I think. Maybe move it over. Scale it out maybe quite a bit. I think that looks pretty decent for now, so we'll leave that. We'll go ahead and do the same thing over here, fix the same issue. Some of you hate UV projections right about now, but at least you understand them, so that's good. Let's go planar, UV, planar, and we'll just hit it again because we were on the X. Scale that up and out, like that. And that looks good to me. Okay, cool. Let's move on to these brackets here. Now, something I failed to show you, if we'll go back to object mode, something I failed to show you is I had to actually parent these together, and we need to have grouped them together, and there is a difference. So this right here, these are parented, and it has and will cause problems in the future. So I'm going to move those out by middle click dragging them out, and then to actually connect them all in a healthy way, I go Control G to group them, so that's different there. And then I can call that bracket. And I'll do left. Or is that right? Depends on which way you're looking at it. Okay, so that is how you do that. We'll do that for the rest of these. I'll unparent them because there's no need to parent the objects underneath them. It's better to actually group an object like this. Okay, so Control G, and we'll group that. Call it bracket right. Not super important right now, but I wanted to show you guys that there's a difference between grouping and parenting, even though they seem very similar. Okay, real quick, let's build a texture for this bracket right here. So now when I select this object, I'm not going to select all of them, and I won't add a texture to everything. Although in this case, I do want to add a texture to everything, so I'm going to make sure to select the whole group. And I'm going to add a new texture to this group. So I'm going to right click, assign new material. We're going to create a blend material for this. And let's definitely go Windows, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. Blend is good for metal objects. As you can see in here, you already start to see some shiny reflections. That's because we're using a blend object. We're going to call this Rusty Metal. Cool. There it is. We'll graph that. Here's our rusty metal. You know the trick. We're going to go into color. We're going to go get a file. And I've got some cool textures in here. I think that we'll go with maybe, right here, galvanized pipe. I like this. Hit open there. And let's see what that's looking like just now. Okay. So I actually rather like that. And we don't have a ton of problems with the UV, maybe right here. So we'll leave that for right now. And we'll assign that same thing to over here. I'll go ahead and select the whole group. And we'll just right click, assign material to selection. There we go. Okay, now this one, you'll notice has completely torn up textures. And I know why that is. It's because I was testing this texture before I started recording. And I had actually applied a UV to this, a UV set projection. And I didn't actually use a planar projection for this. I used something called a cylindrical. So I'm going to go ahead and select this, UV and spherical. Okay, and that creates this nice spherical projection on here. It's a little bit different than a planar, and it won't work in all circumstances, but for a texture like what we're using, I think it works pretty good as a quick solve anyway. So go back to object mode, and let's look at what we've got here. Okay, it looks decent. I do think that all of these need some kind of grungy texture on them. They look really tacky. They stand out, don't they? So in the next video, we're going to go ahead and add a texture to this. I'll see you then.